Why are companies? I haven't figured out an exact reason why companies are boycotting Facebook. Do you know why this is happening?
Oh, because they changed their whole layout in the browser. It's so bad now.
Nope. I don't think it's because of the design. I don't think it's because of the optics. I don't think so.
It's like, what, do people do you cancel iTunes when they change the user interface and update it?
Zito does.
I was so used to the old school style.
Hey, you know that disrespect bin that I put people in and just hold grudges against? Zito does that for anybody that changes the optics of what he actually likes. So that's why he was out on Facebook and iTunes, I'd assume, at this point.
At one point, yeah.
I think people are out on Facebook due to Zuckerberg is what? He's testifies every other day, I think. Every other day he's testifying.
He's allowing hate speech? Is that why? They're saying he's
and
allowing hate
lies,
speech?
propaganda, they say.
And what was he? He was monitoring or filtering the news that he was deciding to show on Facebook as well?
How it handles misinformation.
And he's wearing those Adidas flip-flops, you know? I mean, it's just, he's a lot to it. So I think that is why, but those same...
Is it the right or left, or is it everybody? Well, who's coming after him?
I do believe it is the left that is coming harshest at Mark Zuckerberg, but I would assume that the right is not happy with Twitter now. So they're starting there is, you know, in a time where I thought we were potentially going to come together to talk, it really feels like potentially lines were being drawn very hard and people were just separating further and further away from each other. And as somebody that loves to not get involved in that, as a spectator, it's been an interesting couple weeks here. This whole thing.
What's a big deal? Like Facebook, their advertisers, wasn't it some crazy number? Like Coca-Cola, these giant companies were pulling out.
Well, and then a couple years ago, obviously there was a massive fake number thing happening with Facebook, which I think is happening on a couple other platforms as well. I mean,
what do you mean fake number?
Just fake numbers, fake views, which means as soon as you put fake views on, then you can upcharge the advertisers more money, which helps out everybody. It happened in a podcast game like a couple years ago. People's numbers were all getting inflated, and then they were ripping, and then a fraud case came down on people because advertisers were getting charged a rate that they thought they were getting, and they weren't real numbers. Something happened with Facebook, I think, a year ago maybe, with fake numbers. They've had to change it all. It's a very interesting world, this whole social media business thing, because there is a lot of fucking money on it. A lot of money on it.
Are people still buying followers, like on Instagram and Twitter?
People buy viewers. We do know that on YouTube.
How does that work? What is that? Like, what do you do?
I'm not sure. We haven't gone through the process, but I believe somebody shows up in your DMs and says, "You want 100,000 new followers?"
What?
And then, because I've gotten like 100 of those messages from people, and I think if you go through it, but the issue is with these people is that do this. And I thought the purge that happened on Twitter was potentially going to be an eye-opener for people when people are losing 300, 400,000 followers overnight out of nowhere. Oh, no. Whenever you do things like this, people are going to find out. You know, like all you're really doing is fucking your future self. That's all you're really doing, because your advertisers aren't going to be happy. You're lying to people about this. And ultimately, in the end, you're going to get exposed, I think. So
Get got.
you're going to get got. You got to get yours, I guess, early, but you're going to get got at some point.
Yeah,
If you wanted to buy viewers for like a YouTube video and you say,
Billy
like
knows.
Yep.
Billy-
Click farm.
what if I go out there and I'm looking at some video and it's got 19 views, and I come back 7 minutes later, the person makes that transaction, and there's 280,000. Is it like that? It's just all of a sudden show a bunch of views?
I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works. Can you pay a certain amount just to get editing rights on the numbers, Bill? Can you? Hey, Billy.
What's up?
How do people pay for these views, whether it's on YouTube during a live show for concurrent viewers or for videos afterwards? Is it the same way that somebody shows up in the DMs and says, "Hey, you could buy this"? Is that how it works?
You can just do like a Google search, like how do like buying YouTube viewers or something like that, and like they have packages. It's like you pay this much.
How much?
I think it's like the one time we looked at it because we were suspicious of it happening. It was like $15 for like 8,000 viewers or something.
Yeah, so it's not that much money, and it makes your numbers look a lot better, but there's no activity in any of your shit. So it's like, for instance, for Twitter, there was somebody that was supposed to come on our show or did come on our show, and I didn't know this person existed, but they had a lot of followers. And I was very surprised on Twitter because I feel like I don't want to say OG at Twitter, but I've been around Twitter a long time. I feel like I know who the movers and shakers on Twitter are. I've spent invested a lot of hours.
Gary V, like guys like Gary V and other people.
Bingo, exactly.
I just searched it right now, Pat. $27 gets you 5,000 views. $50 gets you 1,000 subscribers. I don't know what SEO ranking is. It sure sounds like dumping them up. But
Search engine optimization.
$32 is 1,000 of those dump bots.
And you can tell like the shows that do it because like they immediately like, okay, now you have 8,000 viewers the second you go live, whereas like other shows will build up to their end number.
Yeah, and then there's no activity. So like this guy on Twitter, he was supposed to come on the show, and he was coming on the show strictly because he had a bunch of followers, is what we were told. So then I didn't know about him, so I went to his Twitter and I scrolled through his Twitter, and I saw zero activity on any of his tweets. So if you have a few 100,000 followers and you're getting zero retweets, because my worst tweet, at least somebody will retweet it. Just my followers might feel bad for me for how bad it is. So if you see somebody with that big of a number with no action on any of their shit, it's like, oh, this is clearly a fake number here. You know? So it's very, very interesting. It's just that whole game is interesting. And that's one of the downfalls, by the way, of like business to social media. But in the end, the truth always comes out. It's just the way it is. The truth always wins. That's how it goes.
Remember when the last purge, Ray Lewis lost 350,000 followers?
And many others. He wasn't the only one.
I thought he was the only one.
And it's like some certain draft shows that thought they were competing on YouTube decided, oh, we have 100,000 people watching and 5 people in the comments.
Interesting.
That's when Billy started investigating, by the way. That was when.
What was that?
Well, we had a massive draft show, and we thought it was a big joke, the numbers we were putting up compared to everybody else, right? Like because we were relatively new to the YouTube game at that point. The draft special was our first real, like special thing that we did. And we were looking at the numbers. We went live for 4.5, 5 hours.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I didn't even really see a lot of the numbers. I'd go out to go piss or whatever, and people would be like, there is a lot of people watching this. And I'm like, really? That's awesome. Like, and then afterwards, we had a full debrief after the draft or whatever. And that was when Mad Mel had just taken over the internet at that point for his excitement for the Jordan Love pick. And then I was like, well, did anybody else have any shows or whatever? We started going through everybody else's shows that were live and their numbers. And then old Billy Tues was like, this one's a fucking liar right here. This one right here is a liar. So Billy watched the entire thing back. Not the entire thing, but at least the first hour. And he was like, there's zero action on this thing. So that's when we got into all this information that this just happened here, is because we did some investigating, because we would like to know if we're on a level playing field here. If we're going to try to compete as a YouTube show, against other people, we'd like to know there's a level playing field. And we found it it's like $20 for 5,000 views. I assume people are pulling the trigger on that all the time. We refuse to do it because truth will come out.
And that said show was tweeting out bragging about their numbers.
Being bigger than our show.
So that...
Didn't you go on that show, Pat, the next day?
No.
It's not that show. It's not that show.
Okay.
It was some no name.
Bingo.
Well, you can buy Yelp reviews even, or Amazon reviews. You can do all that.
I'm on it.
The Amazon one is a scary one because you trust those.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't
yeah.
know you could buy Yelp reviews. I always assumed the people that own the place were just the people that go into the comments. I didn't know you could buy them.
Did AQ Shipley get the 75? What was it? 75 5-star reviews?
76.
Was that real?
Yeah, who knows? AQ ordered pizza in Michigan from a place that had 75 5-star reviews. That's it, right? And he was like, "It's gonna be great pizza. 75 5-star reviews." I was like, "Those aren't real. Like, those are probably just the employees." He's like, "No." And then it showed up, worst pizza I've ever had. Cheesesteak pizza, though, was next
Delicious.
level, but the rest of the pizza was very bad.
If this place did it for 20 reviews, it's $390.
See, you can't trust anything on this internet. You literally can't trust anything. Like right now, we're at 9,000 concurrent viewers. What, $100? We're up to 20,000 concurrent viewers. That's a much different number than 9,000.
But
What if our number just starts going?
100,000
Through the roof. It's climbing.
Isn't that only for people that aren't paying attention or are stupid? Like, don't you think advertisers, if they're truly going to invest in a show, like they're going to actually look at that?
Some companies, younger companies know. Younger companies know. But there's a lot of companies that, like Coca-Cola, for instance, pulling out of Facebook. Like, they're an older company. Now, I love Coke. Let's not get crazy. I am a Coke fan. Sprite, next level. I am a Coke. But they don't really know the game. There's a lot of companies that don't know the game, so they have no idea, and they're presented with something, and they're like, oh, this is it. I've had a lot of hilarious conversations with a lot of businesses about what they're looking for and all this shit, and I'm like, well, none of those numbers matter. Like, I don't know. That number right there does not matter. I just want to you'd be kind of, I could just cook this entire thing and fuck you over, but that number right there does not matter at all. I just want to let you know that. And it's like it's an education game because it's still relatively new, this digital marketing for a lot of those old companies, and they have no idea, especially they have no clue that you can just buy 10,000 views or anything like that. I mean, you just have no idea. That's why it's a crazy world. It's the modern day gold rush, this internet. It's a modern day gold rush. It is, and it's the wild, wild west.
Look good, feel good, play good.
Play good, pay good, live good, die good.